Hello and welcome. You are joining us from here to there. Yes, an In Conversation series as part of To Be Irish. And we are talking to remarkable women, Irish women around the globe. So they might not be located in Ireland at the moment. They're dotted around the globe and they are doing incredible things. And today I am starting with a super incredible girl. It is Fionnghuala Fig O'Reilly. Fionnghuala, you're very welcome and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having me, Anna. I'm really happy to be here and to be able to talk to you.
You're coming to us from Washington, D.C., is that correct?
Yes, I'm currently in DC. It's one of my favorite cities in the US.
Well, we'll find lots more out about that in a few minutes. There's a little bit of a time difference going on, but we are both logged in and ready to have a chat. And your shelf behind you is screaming at me. I'm going to ask you lots of questions because there's plenty of talking points and props on those shelves, Fionnghuala. And there's little pieces of your life because I've been looking at you on social media and you are the perfect person for that reel that seems to be trending at the moment, my three different lives. I mean, you have more than three different lives: a model, a beauty pageant holder, an engineer, you're working with NASA, you're a tech startup. I mean, where do we start today with all of that?
Oh my goodness, I can tell you it's been a wild ride these past couple of years. But I do I guess all of my work lies at the intersection of very different paths that don't often cross, I think, for many of us. But I am an engineer. I studied systems engineering at the George Washington University, which is what originally brought me to Washington, D.C. And I started working in the space industry with NASA. In 2019, I won Miss Universe Ireland, and I got to compete at Miss Universe. That probably was one of my most proud accomplishments, because I was the first woman of color ever to represent Ireland at any international pageant. So it was really amazing to be able to represent Ireland in that way. And now I'm currently working as a correspondent on a STEM show. It's an Emmy nominated STEM show here in the US. And I am doing the big, I'm taking the big leap of becoming an entrepreneur myself. And I am starting my own tech company.
This is incredible. I'm not sure where to start. Where did you grow up, Fionnghuala?
I grew up all over the place. So my background, I'm African American on my mom's side, and I'm Irish on my dad's side. And my parents met in San Francisco. My dad won the visa lottery to go to America, and he met my mom in San Francisco. They got married, moved back to Ireland, and we come from a uniformed family. We have a lot of guards in the family. So I think that lifestyle, working in service, appealed to my dad. So he wound up enlisting in the United States military, and we've been a military family ever since.
So, in terms of your primary, your young schooling years, where did they happen?
And they happened in Germany, and Washington State on the west coast of the US, and then a couple other states here and there. The longest I've ever lived anywhere was 2.5 to 3 years. And there were quite a few places that we lived as little as 6 months. So it really was just a very universal childhood growing up. I think it was really great because I'm one of six. I have five sisters. So I think a lot of military kids, they often maybe it can be a struggle because you have to go make new friends and move all over the place. But I was traveling with my friends. I was traveling with my sisters. So it was a really interesting, I think, and amazing time being able to travel so much while we were kids.
Of course. And it gives you such a broad view of the world, doesn't it? I mean, it's like the opposite of my childhood, where I grew up. I went to the local primary school, I went to the local secondary school. My entire world until I was about 19 was in the space of about a 2K radius from my house, where it's just so
I
different.
I love that it is different. I love that though, because growing up, I always wondered what it would be like to cheer for a local sports team or to know where every street was in your neighborhood. I never knew what it was like because as soon as I'd learned, this left turn, that right turn, we were off and moving somewhere else. So I think there's benefits to both.
Yeah, there's pros and cons. Of course there are. So I'm looking at your crown behind you. And, when we think of beauty pageants and, the whole pageantry that goes with the Miss World and the Miss Universe and all those kind of competitions and lovely girl competitions, as some people might call them, you must have had, did you surprise people along the way on that journey in terms of all of the elements to Fionnghuala?
Oh, I think surprise is an understatement, probably. uh,
I was being
being the
polite.
first one. Yeah, no, absolutely. Though I would absolutely say yes because again, I think my identity lies at the intersection of a lot of different demographics, and it's not often that you hear stories maybe that haven't been told before, stories similar to mine. And I think being a woman of color, being both African American and Irish, identify as Black. I realized as Miss Universe Ireland that the broader international community hasn't really had the experience to realize that Ireland can be very diverse. And
Mhm.
so when I was traveling as Miss Universe Ireland, I often would get asked my story because I think typically Ireland is viewed as a very homogeneous society, and there's a lot of diversity. And so I think it's been great because I can talk about my story, my background, my family, which has been great. And I've tried to start conversations that I think are very needed because there are a lot of young people these days in Ireland that have very complex stories that may not have often been heard. So I try to
Mhm.
speak up about my own story, but also bring more stories to the forefront because I think it's very needed.
Yeah, I think you're changing perceptions along the way, which, as you say, is so important. What do you think is the most Irish thing about you, Fionnghuala?
The most Irish thing about me. Oh, I love this question. I would say probably my family dynamic. My
Okay.
family dynamic. I'm six. On my dad's side, he has four sisters. My grandmother and my grandfather both come from big families. I go back twice a year, and we always have family get-togethers, which is really fun. I would say, yeah, the sheer size of my family, I think, is very Irish.
Says it all. Yeah. And where do you like to go when you are here?
I go back to North Dublin. My family lives in North Dublin in Sutton, Swords, and Donabate area.
Okay.
I go back north. I love going to Dublin, but recently I was in Ireland in October, and I got to visit the north. For the first time, I went to Derry. I went to where did I also went to Belfast, which was so super interesting, and I really had a good time. It was my first time in the north of Ireland, which was really interesting and really great just to see a different side.
Of course. Yeah. In terms of Christmas traditions, tell me what you're planning to do this Christmas. How will you enjoy the festive season? I know Thanksgiving is so much bigger than Christmas Day in the States as a rule, isn't it?
Well, it depends. I think they're both pretty big.
Okay.
Thanksgiving definitely is a huge holiday, but Christmas I still think takes the cake.
Okay.
This The past couple of years they've been different because of the pandemic. Normally my family we'd all get together, but with the pandemic, with travel
Yeah.
restrictions and just trying to stay safe, I think our get-togethers are a bit smaller again this year. um, Last year we just kind of, all of my family, my sisters, they all live all over the place, and so we all just kind of had our own Christmases at home. But I do miss the large family get-togethers. I am a huge fan of Christmas, so the day after Thanksgiving, in November, for those who are familiar, or those who aren't familiar, I immediately decorated my entire house, my apartment, with
Really?
all of Oh yeah, I was ready for Christmas. I started playing the Mariah Carey songs, the Michael Bublé. I was super ready for Christmas, and yeah, because it's just my favorite time of the year.
So you have your tree up and your presents wrapped. Is that what you're telling us?
No presents are wrapped yet, but the
Okay.
tree
Okay.
is absolutely every night the lights go on. I have kind of a light that it projects snowflakes onto my ceiling. So we don't
Wow.
have any real snow, but I get some projection of some snowflakes just to get into the Christmas spirit.
Now, let me ask you about work. How do you divide up your week? Because you are a NASA Datanaut, first of all. Explain that to me. And apologies for my ignorance, not knowing what that is.
No, not at all. This is probably the question that I get asked most often because what a word, data
Yeah,
not. Yeah, I work in
it's
data
like something out of
science.
a Marvel
Which,
movie, isn't it?
yeah, it sounds like one of those made up tech terms from a film.
Yeah, but
I
it's
work
not.
in data science. Yeah, but it's not. It's a real word. I promise. So data science is it's a type of technology where it's all about understanding and using information or data. So when it comes to NASA, of course, that typically means Earth science and space data. I'm also a director for NASA's International Space Apps Challenge, which is a philanthropic organization under NASA where we get tens of thousands of engineers, scientists, technologists together each year uh, in an effort to create innovation for a better and a more sustainable future. And so the projects that I get to oversee and work on, they're all, technology related, building apps to help with things maybe like these wildfires that we've seen crop up at higher speed or at more devastating uh, speeds than we've seen in the past, or
Mhm.
perhaps building drones that could withstand the environment on another planet. So it's really interesting stuff, I think, and it's great to be able to work with an organization that makes you feel like you're contributing to something that's so much larger than yourself. Recently, actually, I'm so excited to share this. I completed my first astronaut training and I was training in zero gravity. So I was on a special plane that was outfitted with technology and a technology that helps us to experience weightlessness, just like the astronauts on the International Space Station. So that was an incredible experience, and I'm hopefully looking forward to doing some more astronaut trainings.
Well, your face is lighting up as you're talking about that. I worked on a breakfast TV show for many years here in Ireland. And, we would have interviewed everyone from Kardashians to Kate Winslet to, the world's biggest stars. And I always say, when anyone asks me who the most interesting guest was, bear in mind, I know nothing about space or NASA or anything that you're educating me today, was Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, because he was just
Oh
an incredible guest, the most
yeah,
engaging person. He gave science lessons to, kids and families watching that morning in the most fun way. And your face lit up in the way his did when he talked about, your tears don't fall in space and all of that kind of stuff. It's
yeah,
fascinating, isn't it?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's just so incredible. The reason I fell in love with space in the first place was because I got to view and cover a launch in 2018. NASA was sending a lander, which is a stationary rover. So if you know what a rover is, it's a robot and it moves around. So a lander, it falls down to the surface of another planet and it doesn't move around, but it stays put. So we were sending off a lander to Mars, and I got to see this rocket launch, and it was just incredible. Um, I'm trying to fix my eyelash; it's falling into my eye. It was
We
incredible.
can't see a thing. Leila, don't worry. You can feel it. We can't see it.
I think it's
You
poking me a little. Sorry, guys. There we
take your
go.
time.
I think I.
It's gone, is it?
But yeah,
And
I
how
have
does
one
modeling
client.
fit in with this crazy week, your startup, everything that you're doing in terms of STEM and NASA and the TV show? Are there modeling gigs peppered in between all of this?
Yes, so that's how it would go. Recently, I got to walk in a an amazing fashion show that was featured on Vogue, which was definitely a huge thing for me. I was very excited. I've been a runway model for almost 10 years next year, and this was the first show that I've been in that I was featured on Vogue, which was fantastic. And so in between all of the other work that I do, whenever something comes up, I will just press pause and then run to a photo shoot or to a runway
Yeah.
show, and then come back and finish everything else that I've been working on.
Are you fussy about what you take part in? Because I know when you talk to a lot of people, and myself included, it's easy to say yes to all these lovely offers that come in, and suddenly, you feel like you're splitting yourself into various pieces as the week goes on. Do you feel like that sometimes, or are you very careful about what you say yes to?
I feel lucky in that now I can be a bit more particular in the projects that I take on. I'd say a younger version of me, I would have taken on as much as possible. But for two reasons, I know that that's not the best thing all the time. One, you can easily get burnt out if you're stretched too
Yeah.
thin, and two, I've just been lucky enough to I've worked very hard, but I've been lucky enough to get opportunities where I can take something on if it sounds really amazing or interesting, and then spend my time working on that. So it is a balancing act because there are so many different lanes that I try to keep a leg in. But I've been doing it for a few years now, so I think it's been great to try to work through my schedule to make sure that I'm giving everything my best without doing too much at once.
Yes, and that's really, really good advice, I think, for younger girls who will be trying to follow in your footsteps, and boys as well. You are representing so many different things, and that's really important. What would you say to younger people who are looking at your career and going, "Well, how can I be like Fionnghuala?"
Oh, I would say even though I've had some amazing things that I'm very proud of, it took a lot of failures to get here as well. And so
Yeah.
if not everything's going the right way that you'd expect, or if there's some setbacks that come up that you don't know if you should keep pressing on, don't let that deter you. If you have a dream, keep pursuing your dream. I think the engineering mindset, it kind of suggests, uh, that you're a problem solver. So no matter how big the obstacle, if you know that there's something that you want to do, find a way around it, through it, under it, over it, and because there's something on the other side waiting for you. But I don't want anyone to think that it was just win after win after win.
Yeah.
There's still so much more for me to accomplish, so many dreams that I have. But I've definitely had some failures. I've definitely had to learn some really valuable lessons. I keep learning lessons every day. And I think that's the most important thing that I've probably learned along the way.
Because aren't we all very good? And I completely include myself in this, in sharing the good news stories. I'm delighted to announce that I'm working with X, Y, or Z, or I'm on this project, or I'm collaborating with X, Y, or Z, or I'm working on this TV show. And those younger guys and girls, especially, who are influenced by the likes of yourself, have no idea of the knockbacks and the disappointments that have come through. And anybody that has reached a level of success has taken more than one or two knockbacks, haven't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, for example, even being in a fashion show recently, it took me almost
Yeah.
10 years to to be featured on Vogue in a show of that kind of caliber. Um, you never know when the opportunity is going to come, and so I like to think that it's better to work to be prepared for when it does come, because it will come. Patience is definitely something I've learned as well. And in the meantime, while you're working towards something, just get really good at your craft because people will begin to notice.
Yes, hone it. carefully and have lots of different things going on, which I think is the key to your success because you're not just relying on one industry. How does Fionnghuala
Right.
switch off? Christmas is around the corner. You know, I love to just lie on the couch with a tin of Quality Street or Roses or whatever it is and watch lovely movies. How will you unwind?
I am really well, I'm a foodie. I love all sorts of food. So I'm really looking
You're not
forward
going to
to some
gorge
of
on
my
chocolate, are you?
what?
You're not going to gorge on any food or chocolate, are you?
Well, see, I love all the things that I probably shouldn't, like cheeses and carbs. So, like
Okay,
anything that's savory, anything that's I'm not a huge sweets fan, but I love savory foods. So
exciting.
I'm definitely going to be curling up with some of my favorite foods, watching some of my favorite Christmas and holiday films. Love Actually is at the top of my list. Don't hate
Oh,
me for it.
same.
I
No,
love
I'm
that
same.
film.
I love it.
Yeah, so there's so many movies. I love to watch a film and spending time with my family. They've just opened up ice skating near where I live, so I'm gonna go ice skating. S'mores, hot chocolate. I just like to enjoy, relax, turn off my phone a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a step back from things and just spend time with friends and family. That's how I'll be unwinding.
When you see a movie come on over Christmas and it's set in Ireland, are you kind of nerdy about that? Because I'm nerdy about that and I live here.
I always watch the films. There's a new
Yeah.
one on Netflix. I always watch the films. There was another one I watched when I was on the flight to Ireland recently, and they're never like accurate. They're never very accurate, but I love to watch them. I think
Do we
just
care?
because Ireland is represented, and you just I love it. But it is funny to watch, American-made films about Ireland. I think it is interesting, but I love it. I watch every film that comes out, especially the Christmas ones that come out. Or there's always, I think, like a love film about someone falling in love in Ireland. I watch all of
Yeah.
them. It's a
Kind of
guilty
made
pleasure.
Vinci style American made movies. I'm a total sucker for them. Sometimes they're so bad, they're brilliant.
Exactly, exactly. I indulge in all of those kinds of films. I can't lie.
Okay. What are your goals moving into the new year?
Moving into the new year, well, my company, we've been in the first phase of building up my new company, my tech startup, but we are going to be doing our first soft launch in the new year. So just gearing up for that. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm both nervous and excited about. But it's been a long time coming. I've been working on this for the past year, so I'm excited to do a soft launch of the project and see how it is received.
And what's the company called? What should we be looking out for, Fionnghuala?
So it's called Space to Reach, and it's a company. So in my own personal experience, I often working in tech, I'm one of few women and one of few people of color, much less women of color in the places and the spaces that I work. So one of the things that I realized, especially during this pandemic, 2020, 2021, I want to bring more women of color, more Black women to the forefront. So our company is going to be connecting tech companies with this community of women.
Fantastic. We will look out for it with great interest, Fionnghuala. Before I let you go, ideal Christmas present. Do you love giving presents or receiving them? What's your favorite part, first of all?
Oh, I prefer to give them. I'm terrible at receiving. It's so hard, I think, to stop for me. I've been told. But I love to give presents. This year, I think I always do probably err on the side of gifting people with very useful things. Uh, Skin products, things that they can use in their house, their kitchens. I do probably err on that side, but this year I think
Very
I might,
practical. Is that what you're telling us?
I'm a bit of a practical gift buyer. But I'm excited. I have a new nephew. So I have two nieces and a brand new nephew. He was just born 2 weeks ago or so. So I'm
Oh,
excited to spoil my nieces and my nephew. I'm really looking forward to that.
and where are they, Fionnghuala?
In San Francisco.
Okay. So will you see them over Christmas?
No, not this time because the baby is so new. We
Yeah,
and the pandemic, the new variant, and all that kind of stuff. We just kind of, I think, want to take it a bit easy just in case.
I know. Everyone is trying to do the right thing, aren't they? Especially when there's a newborn baby involved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But soon I will get to hold my new nephew.
Of course you will. Of
And
course you will. We have to do the right thing for now, don't we? Um,
yeah,
what is it like looking around Christmas time out your window? Is it very cold?
it today actually this morning was the coldest morning that we've had, I think, this season. I went for a run and I was freezing. So I enjoy it though. It's quite cold, but it is sunny. The sun's out. It's not too gray. So
It's
it
not
does
quite
make for
snow
good.
capped.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm hoping for snow this year. I hope every year.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. usually gets some snow, a good amount of snow as well. So I think it's a possibility, hopefully by maybe, a few, this winter season, we'll see.
Okay. Look, before I let you go, my kids are hoping for snow as well, by the way. I'm hoping it doesn't arrive because it upsets everything. So that's me being very practical. What was I going to say? Irish people in America. Anyone you look up to?
Oh, anyone I look up
Or they can be
to.
here. They can.
Actually, yes. Oh, there is someone that I recently I spoke on I spoke at a conference at New York University, NYU, and it was all about the complexities of Blackness and Irishness, the intersection of uh, Blackness and Irishness globally, but also with a focus on America. And so I spoke at this conference, and also someone speaking at the conference was Ruth Negga, who was in a few films that I'm a huge fan of. She was in Loving, which is the story of the first interracial couple that was married, I believe, in Virginia. They had to go to court because there was a time in America where Black people and white people could not be married. She also recently was in a film called Passing, which was about
Yeah.
a biracial woman who passed as white. And I thought that she has such amazing, she's been in so many different films. She's been an
Yes.
astronaut in film, also has been really cool to see. But I think she's absolutely fabulous and definitely someone that I look up to as well.
Yeah, she's been doing a little bit of publicity in Ireland recently for her latest movie, and she comes across really, really well. I think she's based in London these days, isn't she? She was in Love Hate, which was a big RTE drama, which
Oh,
literally, I think
yeah,
every Sunday evening the country would just come to a standstill watching Love Hate. Um, it was
yeah.
a fairly pretty series, but I think that's where she really made a name for herself and kind of that platform
Mhm.
catapulted her. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll have to get Ruth Negga on To Be Irish. She'd be good to chat to. But Fionnghuala, thank
Yeah.
you so much for taking us through little snippets of your life. I love the shelf behind you. It says all the right things about girls who take part in STEM, in beauty pageants, in modeling, in NASA. You're an engineer, you can do whatever you want, and you're the perfect role model for young girls and guys to look up to. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. This has been a lovely conversation, and I really appreciate all of it.
Oh, likewise. And happy Christmas, Fionnghuala.
Happy Christmas.
Bye bye.